Previously, I showed you the AI document application we are going to build throughout this course. I briefly explained about authentication, document uploads, AI analysis, semantic search, PostgreSQL, testing, Docker, and production deployment. But before we build those features, we need to understand the foundation underneath all of them. And that foundation is the API. Now, I want to build your mental model of APIs and FastAPI before we start adding more advanced functionality. We will first understand what an API is, how clients and servers communicate, what HTTP requests and responses look like, and how endpoints work. Then I will introduce FastAPI and explain why it is particularly useful when building AI applications. And finally, we will create our development environment, build our first FastAPI application, and create the first endpoint for our actual project. So let's start with the most fundamental question. What is an API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. That definition is technically correct, but it doesn't really tell us what an API does. So let me explain it in a more practical way. An API is a way of one software system to communicate with another software system using a defined set of rules. Think about the application we are building. Eventually, a user will interact with a front end. Then the front end might be a web application. It could also be a mobile application or another service. That client needs to communicate with our backend. The backend will handle things such as authentication, documents, databases, and AI services. The API is the communication layer between these systems. For example, when a user uploads a document, the front end does not directly manipulate our database. Instead, it sends a request to an API endpoint. Then the backend receives that request, processes it, and sends a response back. This basic pattern will appear throughout our entire project. To understand APIs, you need to understand two basic concepts, the client and the server. The client is the system making the request. For example, it could be a web browser, mobile application, a front-end application, another backend service, or even a command line tool. The server is the system that receives the request and performs some operation. In our project, the FastAPI application will act as our backend server. Suppose the user wants to see their documents. The client sends a request. FastAPI receives that request. FastAPI may then communicate with PostgreSQL. The database returns the relevant data. FastAPI creates a response. And finally, that response is sent back to the client. This is the basic request response cycle. Now we need a protocol for this communication. That protocol is usually HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It defines how requests and responses are structured when systems communicate over a network. You have probably interacted with HTTP thousands of times without thinking about it. When you open a website, your browser sends HTTP requests to a server, then the server sends HTTP response back. For APIs, we use the same fundamental communication model. Our FastAPI application will receive HTTP requests and return HTTP responses. This gives us the next important concept. Every API interaction generally has two sides. The request is what the client sends to the server. The response is what the server sends back. Let's use a simple example from our project. Suppose we want to create a document. We could have an endpoint like this, post documents. The post tells the server what kind of operation we are performing, and a slash documents identifies the resource we are working with. Then the client may send this JSON body. The server processes the request and may return JSON response like ID 1 title fast API guide. Notice something important here. The client does not need to know how the server stores the document. It only needs to understand the API contract. That separation is extremely useful when building larger systems. You will see JSON everywhere throughout this course. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Despite the name, the JSON is not limited to JavaScript. It is a lightweight format commonly used for exchanging structured data between applications. For example, ID 1, title, FastAPI guide. Here we have two fields. The ID has a value of 1, and the title contains a string. Later, our responses will contain much more information. For example, we may return document metadata, processing status, search results, or structured AI output. FastAPI works particularly well with JSON because it integrates closely with Python type hints and pedantic models. We will see that in practice shortly. An API is usually organized around endpoints. An endpoint is a specific URL and HTTP method through which a client can interact with the application. For example, get documents. This could retrieve documents, while post documents could create a new document, and later we might have get documents 1 to retrieve a specific document from our documents. You can think of an endpoint as a specific doorway into your backend. Each doorway has a defined purpose. The HTTP method tells the server what kind of operation the client wants to perform. The most common methods you will encounter are get, which is used to retrieve data, post, used to create or submit data into the server, put, typically used to replace an existing resource, which means updating the existing resource, and delete, used to remove a resource from our server. For our document API, we might eventually have endpoints such as get documents, post documents, get documents ID to get a specific document from documents, delete documents. This specifically used to delete a specific document from our documents. So this is the foundation of what is commonly called CRUD: create, read, update, and delete. We will build these operations as the course progresses. The server also needs a standard way to tell the client what happened. That is where HTTP status codes come in. You have probably seen codes such as 200, 404, or 500. Looks like at the categories. 2xx means the request was successful. For example, 200 OK, 201 created. 4xx means there was a problem with the client's request. For example, 400 is bad request, 404 is not found. And 5xx generally indicates a server-side problem. For example, 500 internal server error. So these codes become important when we build production APIs because clients need a predictable way to understand the result of an operation.